Woo! Welcome back. In the last video, I asked you guys, I'll link it up here. I asked you guys to comment if you knew what the other editing technique I used was. Nobody guessed it. I'm a trickster. Let's watch the video back now and I'll show you guys what it was. We're talking about the match cut. For those of you who do not know what the match cut is, it's when you transition from scene to scene, mirroring what happened in the previous shot. So I used it twice in the video. The first time was at the end of the shaving scene where the camera is directly beside me. It shows me adjusting my beard, just checking it out. Then I scratch the back of my head. And then, using the exact same positioning, it cuts to the next scene where I'm scratching the back of my head, but now I'm at a coffee machine making coffee. So we've transitioned forward in time, but matched the exact body position and framing so that it's like a little effect. It's not crazy over the top, but it's a really neat way to transition over to the next scene. The second time I used it was when Daniel 1 lost rock, paper, scissors. He plays rock, and then on the third drop of the rock, it pauses for a second and then cuts to the next scene where he's holding the gloves. Because he lost the rock, paper, scissors, he's got to go out and put the gloves and mask on and do the shopping. Again, transition forward. It's the loser of this rock, paper, scissors has to go out. How do we transition from the rock, paper, scissors to the actual act of going out and contemplating that? A match cut is perfect. You can use a match cut anywhere. In fact, let's check out some ways it's been used in Hollywood movies. Some of these are unreal. One match cut that I really like is from Forrest Gump. It shows Forrest as an adult, he's like cringing because it's painful, and then it cuts back to his childhood where he's mimicking this cringing, painful face. That shows a connection between two separate events. So like we used it in our video, the event of the rock, paper, scissors is connected to the event of having to go out. How do we connect them? With the hand. The act of shaving transitions to the next logical step in the day is making yourself a coffee. How do we transition? Now we could, put the razor down, follow the person walking upstairs, walking to the coffee maker, but to get rid of all that filler, we make the connection via the match cut. The only other advice I can offer to you guys is how to film it on your camera. I know that like a lot of these Hollywood film sets, they have, crews of people to make sure framing and all that is correct. Here's how I did it completely by myself. All you need is your camera. Obviously it has a screen on the back of it. It's 2020. If your camera doesn't have a screen on the back of it, maybe it's time for an upgrade. You're gonna take your camera, you're gonna take masking tape. Now, you're gonna film your first scene, let's say me shaving. What I did was I filmed myself shaving and then played it back on the viewfinder of the camera. Paused it where I said, you know what, this is about the general area of where I'll transition to the next shot. And then I used little pieces of masking tape to mask off where I was in the frame. The top of my head, my left shoulder, my right shoulder. I left the masking tape on my camera and then moved everything to the next scene. I laid out my next scene. I took a few test shots to see, am I falling within that window? And then I adjust the camera accordingly without moving the masking tape. Once you've done that, you now have your character in the same position for the two shots. Just hit record, act out the scene, boom, you're done. If you're doing the same thing with like a landscape video of a mountain or, a time lapse that you want to mimic, same concept applies. You can take the footage you have, drive 100 kilometers to a different mountain, and then once you get there, play back the first mountain, mask it off with masking tape, line up your second mountain accordingly, and you've match cut. That's just like a dummy way to do it. Another way that you could do it is if your camera has 4K capabilities, film it in 4K, get the rough general proportions the same. Again, The closer you are, the more effective it is, so take your time and do it properly, but film it in 4K, a little bit zoomed out, get the general area of your subject, get the general framing right, and then in post, if you're filming in 4K and editing in 1080, you can then scale that footage down to line it up the way you want. That's another way to go about it. Very simple to do. This video is probably relatively short, so considering I helped you guys with something in such a short time, why don't you help me with 2 seconds of your time by hitting that subscribe button, liking the video, and if you have any other things you guys want to see, comment down below. I'm not a mind reader. How am I supposed to know what videos you guys want if you don't tell me? Comment down below what you want to see, and I will make it happen, and then I'll catch you guys in the next video, which is probably a recommendation from you. Love ya!